Welcome into the Gramlich and McLean podcast presented by Ingles, the official supermarket of Gramlich and McLean. Mac, it was for real. This was the actual spooky weekend because it was Halloween weekend, and the ACC's two highest ranked teams lose on the road. But two other ranked teams did win on the road, so we'll get into that. We got to at least, count our blessings at this time, Eric McLean. But I do think let's start with the fact that we are the problem. We cursed Georgia Tech by dressing up as Coach Brent Key, your twin, and Buzz. We cursed Georgia Tech. They go on the road. And this is some classic, and NC State fans who are listening, you know what I mean. This is some classic NC State four-letter word. You beat the two best teams in the league. You beat the two teams that, and now because Miami lost, the two teams that only have one loss, and you're not even in the discussion. That's just very NC State of you.
Yeah, it is so frustrating to me. Can I just be super real with y'all? Like, I already have all this frustration and built up like anger about Clemson, and then when this stuff happens, it drives me literally insane. I'm being super raw and real with y'all right now. When we have a team that has so much talent in the world as NC State does, and I see it with my own eyes, and I know what it can look like, and I know what it can be, and yet week in and week out, you get waxed and just bullied and beat down, and then you have the audacity to beat Virginia and to beat Georgia Tech. By the way, beating Georgia Tech without the best running back in the conference, without your best pass weapon, without some linemen, without some, like, it is so dumb how college football is. It makes no sense. There should be no possible way that team just did that to Georgia Tech. And yet here we are. So it's a double-edged sword that it infuriates me and it makes me so angry. But it also is why it's the greatest sport on the earth, is that literally any team at any time can do that. And again, we should be happy. Like we celebrate the ACC, but it's so much bigger right now. Like it just is what it is, because unfortunately, this does not show the depth and the competitiveness, because nobody will say that, even though it's true. And this league is so deep and so talented and has so many great coaches. That won't be the narrative. And so that's why it is frustrating to me if you kind of were turning your head at why you heard that, people listening right now. But that's why, because we will not get that credit. We won't get the credit that other leagues will, that other teams will. And it's unfortunate, and it is what it is. But that's the way it shapes out. And SMU, same thing. You're not getting out of this. We'll talk about you in a second. All right, we'll talk about you in a second. Wake Forest, embarrassed by freaking Florida. They ain't won a game in the ACC in 100 years, and they whip you. It is so wild just to see, KG, how literally, the more you know, the less you know. Like that's how it is. And the more sample size, the more what you think is going to happen, the opposite is going to happen. And it's so dumb and frustrating. But like I said, maybe you celebrate. I don't know. CJ Bailey looked like a freaking monster. But that too, like that's what's so maddening
but
to me.
Also the Notre Dame game exists.
He's on one leg the whole game. This dude's limping and hobbling and turned into the greatest quarterback I've ever seen in my life. It's so dumb. But anyway, Mac, how are you? How was your weekend?
That was well said. I think that everybody associated with the ACC, at least at the top, and fans of Georgia Tech or fans of NC State, they feel this way. Like I'm sure NC State fans are so frustrated. They're super excited, but they're also like, really? We can do this? So I think everyone agrees. Mac, we're going to get into these games in the nitty-gritty, but I will say, during these frustrating times, one of the best things you can do is get you some comfort food from Ingles.
I thought you were going to say alcohol. I don't even drink, but maybe I should go to Ingles and load up.
Look, you can drown your sorrows. That's also one way to do it. I understand. But the other way, Mac, what I've been doing, because my house is in utter chaos at all times, the only way Nick and I can eat is if we put something in the crock pot 8 hours before, So we've been really into the crock pot meals, and Ingles is a great place to get all of your ingredients. Sometimes you just need like that white chicken chili, like you need that comfort food after you watch your team, whether you're a Clemson fan, perhaps, or a Miami fan, and it turns to November, and suddenly it's a house of horrors. Like, with all those things happening, you just need some comfort food. You need Ingles, Mac. That's what you need.
I understand, and, yeah, you can. A lot of things that can comfort you there, so if
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about, go check it out, and
A
do
lot of
what you
different
gotta do.
options.
Do what you gotta do, but that's right, KG. Let's get to a great message from our friends over at Ingles, um, and then we'll talk about this. We'll talk more detail about this.
Did you know that Ingles sells more organics than any other store? Or that they run their own dairy? Or that they only serve USDA choice and prime meat? Did you know that they have more local craft beer than any place else? Or that they have energy smart stores? Or that they professionally slice and package imported cheese from Europe? Did you know about their giant international aisle, local farm partnerships, curbside pickup, wine department? Or that they donate 3,956 meals a day to local food banks? Well, now you do. It's all in the bag. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Okay, Mac, let's do it. Let's get into these games. We will talk about these games and say the old rankings, but I will say this. The AP poll just came out. Virginia is now the highest ranked team in the ACC.
Oh, great. I haven't even seen that.
Here, breaking news. If you predicted this, first of all, you didn't. You didn't. Don't lie. Don't
Mhm,
lie.
mhm.
Second of all, if you did predict it, I don't know. You may have been under the influence of drugs while you predicted this in August because this was crazy. Virginia is 12th in the country, Louisville 14, Georgia Tech 16, Miami 18. Pitt does not make the poll, Mac. That's a little frustrating. Pitt,
That's frustrating.
35 votes. I think they're third in the receiving votes category. If they keep winning, they will be in the poll, which Pitt did
You know
win.
what I bet? So the college football playoff rankings come out here
You
in
think Pitt's ranked there?
May. They'll be ranked there. They'll be ranked
I think so.
because I
And
think
I
they'll
think,
look at the fact that how different they are with their new
yeah,
quarterback.
they should.
They'll
They
probably
should. I was thinking Virginia would be higher than their AP ranking, but now that they're up to 12, that might be where they end up. We will see. We
yeah.
will see. It's going to be really interesting to see with that playoff poll, as you mentioned. Mac, the AP poll is now done. Doesn't matter. Goodbye. Okay, NC State beats number 8 Georgia Tech 48-36. It felt like Georgia Tech, Mac. They've had games like this on the road where they were flying too close to the sun. The Wake Forest game, the Duke game, and there's something about, I guess, when they go to North Carolina, they just didn't play well enough to win. I think that was obvious. That first drive from NC State, you're like, oh, okay. NC State's ready to play. We talked about the atmosphere at Carter Finley. The atmosphere was there. Like it was the recipe of what NC State does when they underachieve pretty much every year, but they beat a ranked team. Like that's just what they do.
Yes.
And offensively, Mac, no Hollywood Smothers, no Jolie, and they look great. Duke Scott, 24 carries for 196 yards and a touchdown. He was fantastic. Georgia Tech's issues stopping the run really came to fruition in this game, and then Georgia Tech settled for way too many field goals. Mac, I'm not sure I've seen a team, a modern football team that's like a top 10, top 15 team that is so reliant on one person. Like
I know.
that's pretty crazy with Georgia Tech, and the offense really wasn't the problem. You scored 36 points. If you scored 36 points, you probably should win the game.
Yeah, but I do think that those blunders, though, in the red zone were huge.
Yeah, yeah,
Momentum swinging, big deal. Because your defense can't stop a bloody nose. Literally, I mean, this team had 590. Is that what it is? 583 yards of total offense. I mean, that is crazy. And what's frustrating is you just brought in a new DC. You just brought in
yeah.
a guy that you're hoping is going to make these changes, and it's just baffling. Clemson dealing with the same, freaking thing. And again, we'll talk about that here in a bit, but it is so puzzling that, some teams just can't do certain things, and it doesn't matter when, why, how they're doing. Georgia Tech has been bad on defense for the last however many years, and that's just it's their Achilles heel. This year, they're going to be, the Miami of last year. Got this
Mhm.
superpower offense, and your defense can't help you win. Defense can't get out of kind of their own way, and that's what's so frustrating is that you just have like it is so rare to do what they were doing, and still they could who knows they could win out. They could win the national championship. You never know.
Yeah,
But
playoff
just
is
to
still very much in the picture. If
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
win
yeah.
the
I'm
ACC,
not
you're in.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's
yeah,
not code red, but it is way more difficult now. I mean, that
right.
every single person is going to try to write you off, and then they're going to look at strength of schedule and ranked teams and this and that. That Georgia game,
That's
um,
huge.
that Georgia game, if you win that, is your insurance. That'll keep you in, I think, win or lose in the ACC championship, or maybe you're not even in the ACC championship. Who knows what happens? Um, with a tiebreaker, crazy tiebreaker
Yeah,
situation.
true.
But I think if you beat them, and lose the ACC championship, you still are probably in, maybe.
That's g maybe.
Maybe.
We'll see where Georgia Tech is in
Maybe.
the playoff poll, but Georgia does look gettable. I mean, Florida
For
almost
sure.
beat them.
Yeah. No, they
But
definitely do.
do you think some of this, Mac, was just Georgia Tech, they have a bye week now, like, we know they've been beat up. Was it just they weren't gonna run the table? Like, maybe they're not good enough in terms of defensively to run the table. They were gonna take a loss somewhere, and this just is what it was? Is that, like, is that too positive of an outlook?
No, I mean, maybe. I think it's just it's hard to wrap your head around that Haynes King threw the ball for 408 yards and you lost.
And you
Like,
lose.
that's crazy. That's
NC
crazy,
State played
but
so well offensively, Mac, like,
offensively, yeah. Yeah, and
so
even at
well.
times defensively. I mean, that's what was, kind of frustrating too is like they did enough. It was that like
Mhm.
bend, don't break. We're going to sack you, we're going to hit you, we're going to make you go backwards. The crowd's going to make you jump off
Yeah.
sides or flinch, back you up on kind of short situations that they had there. It's just, and even with all that said, they only had 4 penalties. That they still had less penalties than NC State did. And you look at the turnovers and things of that nature, they had 1-0. And it just was can't capitalize in the red zone. Can't make it happen.
Mhm.
When you need it most, and particularly your defense just can't stop anybody. And I think that again is what's so frustrating is that you look at the game, you look at who's out, who's such a vital piece, and maybe they relaxed. Maybe Georgia Tech relaxed and said, "Oh yeah, they don't have their 2 best players outside of a quarterback. Clearly, we're good, no problem. It'll be a walk in the park for us defensively today." And it was all but that. And so I think that is the frustrating part. And now it's just Georgia Tech will fall pretty significantly, I would imagine, and they're going to have to fight their way back in. And there's no you know room for error. Really, there's no more stumbling blocks. And who
Mhm.
knows what you're able to do just the rest of the way there. And for NC State, I thought this is what it could look close to. I'm not saying, 48 points per game, 600 yards of offense, but just the way CJ Bailey was throwing the ball, the way they were running the ball at will. I mean, for 5-6 yards of
With their
rush,
backup.
with a backup. That was amazing. So this is the NC State I thought we'd get all year. Awesome to see them for one game. That's cool. Super fun.
Love that. Yeah, we absolutely love that. Mac, Georgia Tech, when you look at what they have remaining, they have a bye week, and then they have Boston College at Boston College. BC put up a fight against Notre Dame. Then they host Pitt and they host Georgia. So could be hosting 2 ranked
Those
teams
last
back
2
to back.
games at the end are brutal. I
Yeah.
mean, those are tough
But
games.
that's a good point with Georgia Tech. They have something that no other ACC team has. They have Georgia left. They have a true chance to make a massive statement.
Mhm.
And that's huge. I mean, it's kind of like your second chance, if you
Mhm.
will, with
Mhm.
having this loss if you're Georgia Tech. Mac, like we said, we're super impressed with NC State. We're not trying to be negative. It's just you haven't really done this all year. You beat Virginia,
You're 5 and
which is
4. It doesn't mean anything. Like, I don't care.
yeah.
I don't care. It
Virginia was
only
a great
hurts the
win.
conference.
I know this was a great one. I
But it
do
is
want to
good.
say
It's cool to see. It's cool to see, I
when
guess.
Georgia Tech went up 17-14, it
Yeah.
was almost halftime, and then NC State goes on that incredible drive. They score, then they get the ball back, and then they hit the field goal.
Mhm.
I was like, okay.
Mhm.
Because a lot of teams would have thought, okay, Georgia Tech goes up 17-14, and you're feeling like Georgia
Yep.
Tech's going to handle this. And
Mhm.
NC State just, they fought back. And we hadn't really seen that all
Mhm.
year, outside of the
Mhm.
Virginia game, I guess.
Right. Right. Hadn't seen a team with, really that ability to do it or the will to do it and give huge credit to Coach Doran and to CJ Bailey and everybody involved. They did it. They motivated
And
their
NC
team enough
State's
to believe.
fans. I
The
was
fans. It
impressed.
was it was
Yeah,
loud.
yeah.
I love that when you can hear it through the TV. I mean,
Yeah.
they were juiced up. They were and well, listen, we did a whole feature on it. We knew. Talked about Clemson losing there as a ranked team multiple times. Talk about Florida State losing there and Jimbo multiple times. Like it is a hard place to play at night when those fans want to be as good as they can, and they were. They absolutely were.
Absolutely. That's a good point, Mac. I was watching the huddle and saw that feature and thought, oh, yeah, NC State does do this a
Spooky
lot.
place.
They tend to do this. All right, speaking of the huddle, you guys were at SMU, and SMU, as you said in our opening, you're not getting out of this
Mhm.
SMU, but
Mhm.
congrats on the win.
Yeah.
They beat number 10 Miami 26-20 in overtime. Miami falls to 4-9 in November under Mario Cristobal. I remember specifically doing our Miami preview episode. We interviewed Coach Cristobal, and then we talked about Miami. And I brought up the November numbers because I was like, Mac, this November is a problem. Can they overcome this? And you can also look at the mid-October loss, of course, to Louisville, but this seems to be a problem. I'm not quite sure why.
Right.
You should have enough depth. You recruit like crazy. You have so much talent. The stuff we saw on the sideline with Shannon Dawson and Mario Cristobal kind of getting into it, and then Coach Beck, Carson Beck saying after the game, they kept calling the same play. I just execute what's called. It seems like there's some serious disconnect between the play caller, between Cristobal, Beck, whatever it is. And that's from the Louisville game on, I would say, when
Right.
Beck was kind of throwing a receiver under the bus. It just seems like there are some issues offensively, and that may be an understatement.
Yeah, and it was pretty interesting to see that. And it was a weird game too, because it felt like Miami had control, like they
Yeah.
kind of normally do. Um and then there was this weird point. I was kind of telling you about it earlier, that I was actually down on the field at this point at the very end of the game. And it just felt like nobody wanted to win. Like
Mhm.
nobody wanted, to take over, and give SMU credit for finally standing tall and doing that, like marching down the field. That they had a couple of penalties. That it's so, fans are so funny. Like, whichever side of the fence you're on, you're going to be obviously pissed about a call, a game-changing call.
Of
But
course.
guess what? How about be mad at your players for doing it? Like the particular play I'm talking about that stands out to me the most, KG, is SMU was going to snap the ball, and I don't even remember who called timeout, if it was Coach Cristobal or Coach Lashley. Somebody calls a timeout. Now, it was loud, and the ball was snapped, but the whistles are blowing. KJ has the ball. Ruben Bain touches him, and then a DB hits him. Like, the play's dead, and he gets hit. And it was an easy call. And these Miami fans are going nuts, yelling at me at this because they can see me, my big bald head, easy to stand out. They're saying, call the ACC. They're cheating. They're doing. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, that was the dumbest play I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, what an
Yeah.
idiot. What are you mad about? Like, you would be pissed if that was Carson. And it's so silly. So how about be disciplined and don't do that? And who knows? Maybe you win the game. I mean, that was like 3rd and 11 or 3rd and 12. It was a huge mess up to give them a first down and obviously 15 yards. Then they go and hit that field goal. And then the pick by Carson in overtime, which was just bad play, crazy
Bad.
play, really good interception. And then they score a touchdown and they win it, and give them credit. But also, what takes me off is you go and beat this Miami team that is very, very good. You can't beat anybody in the Big 12, and you lost to Wake Forest the week before, where
In
your
the
offense looked inept.
craziest way. Yeah.
The offense looked like it never played football before.
Oh.
Nothing worked. Nobody could help. KJ had a bad day, which we're all entitled to. It's part of it. But the fact that it all happened together last week was crazy. And by the way, that team just got housed by 50 against the worst team in the ACC. It's so dumb. It's so dumb when you look at it. But it was super fun being in Dallas. I love being in Dallas. I would go there as many times as I could during a football season. Got to hang out with Shooter McGavin. That was pretty cool.
Mac,
Shout
you
out.
were hanging out with some big time
It was
people.
fun. It was fun. My boy, Eric Dickerson, Bill Armstrong, the GOAT. Got to actually spend some great time with Bill. That was really fun. I appreciated some of those conversations that we had. And then just, Lashley and the boy, like I really do. I love SMU and I love that program and how they're doing it. He got the massive extension, makes him a top
Yep.
10, paid college coach in all of the country. That's amazing. And then what's crazy is, think if they would have waited today and he gets a top 10 win. This is their first top 10 win since like the 70s at home. This is huge when you do something of that nature. So congrats, Bill and the boys, on getting that signed before this game, because it should have been more. You got to pay him more. But it was really, really cool. And then to see the scene and the fans, and our show was amazing. I mean, it was so much fun. It means a lot, when you guys show up and support us there in person, and then to see them win it and storm the field. I mean, it's just, those are cool things to be a part of. But again, just know in the back of my head, like, I'm pissed that happened. Just so y'all know.
Mac's smiling down there. He's giving people hugs, but he's mad.
I'm upset. Good game.
Yeah.
Boom.
I hate this. Okay, Mac, first of all, your show looked awesome. Whoever put the skeleton right there with the headset on next to
Yeah.
Taylor
Yeah.
that was hilarious.
That
I
was
was
our
dying at
stage
that.
manager for the day.
That was so good. I loved it. I think you're talking about the unnecessary roughness on Marquise Lightfoot, right? The hit
Yeah.
on KJ? Yeah. That
Was it Marquise? I thought it was a DB. Maybe it was. Maybe it was,
Okay,
if you're
well,
looking at
that
it.
gave SMU the first down that led
Yeah.
to, the field goal, which is just terrible. Miami had 12 penalties for 96
Mhm.
yards. So,
Mhm.
the penalties
Yeah.
killed Miami.
Yeah.
You can't have that when you're playing on the road against a competent team. And as I'm watching the game, Mac, I keep thinking, well, 2 things. First of all, Kevin Jennings was a warrior. He said did
He's a
you
good
see his quote after the game?
uh
Because I thought he was done. Like, when he limps off, because he's had that ankle forever and
Right.
ever. He said, "After that play, I didn't know I was going back in. Hopping off the field, I couldn't put pressure on the leg at all. And then, all of the sudden, my ankle just got back to working." I was like, "Wait, what?
I love when that happens.
How did okay, I don't I've got some questions, but it's fine." He went back out there because when I thought, as I'm watching this game on TV, I thought, "Oh, they knocked him out. Like, Miami's gonna survive because they
Mhm.
knocked KJ out." And then I looked I'm watching the Clemson game, I go back to Miami, I'm like, KJ's back in the game, and he's
Crazy.
slinging it. He's
Yeah.
absolutely slinging it. That was okay, 2 other things that made me mad for Miami. At towards the end of the game, when SMU can't run the ball. They've run the ball 25 times for 23 yards. Kevin Jennings literally has 1 leg, and SMU is still passing it all over the yard. Like, how is that possible, Mac? And then
Yeah.
on the flip side for me, and this is probably just Miami fans totally agree with me, and they're also frustrated, I texted you this. It felt like every time Miami was in the red zone, they were throwing the ball.
Yes.
Run the ball,
Yeah.
especially the overtime pick.
Right.
It
Right.
was just, I don't know. Maybe
And
that's
it
what Carson Beck's talking about. I don't
yeah,
know.
and it's so strange because, again, I've never been there, but it almost feels like what I said earlier about when I'm analyzing things. And when you're analyzing things, it's almost like we know too much and you're in your head, and coordinators
Mm,
get in their own head and they
yeah.
just think, well, what if this? What if that? What if, instead of just, no, man,
Mark
that's top
Fletcher.
5 pick. That's Mark Fletcher. Hand the ball off. Run it. Run the ball. Or, hey, buddy, they have -4 rushing yards. Go to a dime look and get an extra DB on the field. Like,
I was,
it's
yeah,
just stuff like that that I almost think is so simple, and that people just they're too caught up in other things. And again, we're from afar. There's no pressure. We're sitting here saying this, whatever, on a
sure.
Sunday. Who cares? But it is fascinating that it seems like such a simple thing to just fix, just a little tweak, and that it just doesn't happen. And it's baffling to see that, especially when you are having such success stopping one particular piece of the puzzle there, and having such great success. I mean, they ran it, for 160 yards, whatever it was. So
Run it.
I don't know. It's puzzling. Miami. I mean, you're probably maybe. I mean, you could win out, and essentially, are you battling Notre Dame for the last spot,
Yeah, but you
which
beat
you
Notre
beat,
Dame.
and they've won, all these games straight. Who knows? But I think Miami's out. I think they're done.
Probably.
I think they're done.
Probably so. Another
2-2 in the
disappointing.
ACC. I think you're out of the championship game for sure. I just don't know. I mean, you would have to do what you haven't done all year, and that's consistently blow people out. And I
Yeah.
just don't know if they have that ability.
I agree. But I do wanna give credit to SMU. Like you said, Mac,
It's
crowd showed
huge.
up.
Yeah.
SMU didn't flinch. They could have kinda just folded early after the
Mhm.
Wake Forest debacle, but they hung in there. KJ was incredible. Jordan Hudson, I mean, monster. 11 catches for 136. He was special. And then I thought the SMU crowd, I know you said there were, some Miami fans
Hey,
there.
Miami traveled.
Yeah,
Miami
there were
did
some
good.
Miami fans.
They were loud. It was
But
loud whoever had the ball. Let me just put it
yeah,
that way.
okay.
Whoever had the ball, it was loud.
But
And you bring up SMU, like, record-wise, they're right there. One loss in conference. I mean,
in conference,
who
yes.
knows?
Yeah.
These boys mess around, get to an ACC championship and win. You're right there.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy. But I did have the thought as I'm watching on TV, like, this is why SMU joined the ACC. You're
Correct.
on ESPN,
Yeah.
you're beating a top 10 team, you're getting to showcase your school, the Huddle's
Mhm.
doing a whole show there, like, I do feel like SMU fans, SMU, bigwigs, our guy
Yeah.
Bill, probably very pleased with this whole situation, and also, Mac, truly, I think it's great for the league.
Yeah.
Like, that you have I know it's not good that SMU beat Miami because Miami's out of the hunt, etcetera, but to have a school like that that really cares, and they're investing, and they have that kinda showing, it's good. It's good all the
Yeah.
way around.
It is good, and you secured your coach, you got him there,
Yeah,
he wants to be there, you want him there, you've got the market of Dallas, the hotbed recruiting of Dallas. It is good. Again, timing-wise, we can work on
sure,
that, but
sure.
we're thinking
Um,
big picture here, KG.
yeah,
Kevin's gonna be back next year, SMU's gonna be really good.
silver lining, we love that. Okay, let's get to
I got a
our
silver lining
positive.
for you coming up. I got a silver lining coming for you.
Oh, I'm intrigued. Alright,
It
let's
won't
get
be.
to these teams that won, these ranked teams that won on the road, because we had all 4 ranked teams going on the road, and 2 of them did win. Virginia beats Cal. Way to go, Hoos. Virginia beats Cal 31-21. Thank you, Virginia. Offense looked a lot better. They ran the ball really well, 44 rushes for 194 yards on the ground total. Virginia did not turn the ball over. I think the turnovers, the interceptions from Sagapulotele were obviously a problem. They outgained Cal 456 to 263. They just kinda handled their business, and
Yeah.
I picked against them, Mac, I'm so sorry, I take it all back. I love my Hoos.
I'm glad you're back. We all picked against him on the huddle. I mean, we all picked Cal. It was
You
crazy.
did?
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
all of us.
man, I missed
There's a
that.
screenshot somewhere, out there that
Yikes.
surely, and we're going to Virginia this week. Can't wait. Can't wait to see who's, but actually, it was reverse psychology on my part. I knew if I picked
Mm,
Virginia,
smart.
they were gonna lose, and so I was like, "I'll bite this bullet. I'll look like a fool. It's all good. I just want you to win. Want you to win." And there was some weird stat. Jimbo posted it, or not posted. He said it on TV. It was something like 60% of the teams that travel one way or the other lose. Like it's
Hmm,
hard, and whatever that looks like, who knows. But I was very impressed by them running the football back, like you just said. That was kind of my biggest thing that I wanted to see from them, and they did it fantastic. I mean, Taylor was lights out, running that football, for 5 yards a clip
that was
there.
really good to see, especially from
Fun.
him, because he was
Yeah.
electric against Florida State.
Yeah. Chandler did enough. He had a couple of pops. Would still like to see maybe a little bit more. It's hard. It's hard to tell. I think anytime that he's in that 6 to 10 range is probably a good job, because that means other guys are doing their part. They're throwing the ball pretty well. He's not force feeding it. You don't want your quarterback, probably high double digits. I mean, you don't want him 15 to 20. That's probably not ideal, but love to see the execution there. And then the defense, the pass defense I was concerned about. They got their hands on the football, did a really good job against Sangapolatele, holding him to right at 200 yards. Then the rush defense, I mean, they were lighting it up, killing these boys. I know there's a big number, like it says 8. It says they have 8 yards. There was some sacks in there as well. I think they had 3 or 4 sacks, so that was some negative yardage. But that's fantastic to hold them to that type of
Yeah.
production there. And even still, Virginia tried to give the game away. Like,
I
they're marching down the field. They don't get it, or I can't remember what happened. They gave Cal the ball back, but then the defense right away,
yeah.
it's a pick six over blouses. So a little bit more of the complimentary football, still a little dangerous, still flying.
But,
Like
Mac,
they're just
that's
flying
just
by that sun.
Virginia. It can't be too
They're having
easy.
fun. Can't be
It
too easy.
can't be too easy.
Can't be too easy. They like to fly around the sun. I get it. It's cool. It's bright. It's pretty. I understand that. But maybe this week
Warm.
let's put the hammer down. All right. I want to see that. I want to see that. We'll talk about that more. But a big win. Big win. Like I said, the huddle will be heading to Virginia.
Come on.
Cannot wait. First time this year. It's going to be a ton of fun.
The best ACC city. I love Charlottesville. Mac, we cannot be picky at this time. We just have to count our blessings. Virginia won. That's all that matters. And they're going to play a Deke team that was destroyed by Florida State. Still can't believe that. We're going to get to that. Number 16, Louisville beats Virginia Tech 28-16. Mac, this was concerning for a little while. Virginia Tech gets up 16-7, and then Louisville says, all right, let's play some football. And the second half was really impressive from the Cards. Isaac Brown was great, but I am concerned as he he was helped off the field, right? That makes me very nervous. I like how Brown has also run the ball for them, so you feel okay, but sorry, Keyshawn Brown, the other Brown. But that did, like, to me, that's almost the big thing to talk about after this
I
game.
know.
They're better
It
than
makes you
Virginia Tech.
nervous.
They handled it, but that's
Yeah.
concerning.
I think the thing that I was so, elated about with Louisville was that they were running the football again. I'd been waiting on it, for 8 weeks of the season, and then they get it back, and then boom, he's hurt again. And you're just like, that's not good. That's not what we, want to see or hope to see. And coach came out after the game and said he's probably going to miss some time, which if coach is saying that right then and there,
Yeah.
it's probably pretty significant, which stinks. And he's such a special player and, just a huge part of this team. I mean, Miller Moss did not have a very good game at all. And, people are tweeting throughout the game, like, get this guy out. We got to see someone else. I'm just like, I don't know if you want to do that, but I understand the frustration. And then the defense played well though, for shutting, down essentially the passing game, for Virginia Tech, hold them to under 80 yards passing. I mean, that's crazy for a team to be able to
To
do
be
that.
fair, most people have done that this year, though.
Maybe.
Shut down Virginia Tech passing. Virginia Tech has run the ball.
80 yards. That's
It's
bonkers.
bad. It's bad. Yeah.
Yeah, and they ran the ball okay. I mean, I thought it was a good group effort here, but this is the name of the game truly right now. Just win at all costs. Just win. Find a way. There are 12 spots in this college football playoff, and I think Louisville still has a shot there. Obviously, they still have a shot for Charlotte. It's so funny. As soon, KG, as we think we have a grasp on who's going to be in this game in Charlotte, we don't.
No.
We don't know. We don't know. So I need to just stop thinking that and saying that and just lock in, and we'll see. I will be there. I guarantee I will be in Charlotte. Who's going to join me? I don't know. We'll see.
We know Mac will be there. The good news for Louisville is you have Cal next. Pretty beat up Cal team coming off a tough loss. Then they have to fly, back this way. You're already an 18.5-point favorite from what I'm seeing on the ESPN app. So I don't want to jinx anything. I feel like you can beat Cal without Isaac Brown. And then you do have Clemson on a Friday night. Now, Clemson. All right. You want to get there, Mac? Should we go ahead and get there?
It's funny. Yeah, we can. I don't even care. But yes, we can. Let's talk about Duke. You mean to Duke. Let's get to Duke.
So sorry. And I actually was going to say, I want to make sure we give Duke plenty of credit here because Duke beats Clemson 46-45. There's so much to discuss. Duke gets up 21-7 and it's the end of the first quarter. And Duke is just Mac, I don't know if you were able to watch the broadcast as closely as I was from my couch. Mm-hmm. When you have these crazy busts early on, and Cooper Barkate, who is Duke's best wide receiver, newsflash, he's very good, is left just wide open from these busts, right? Mm-hmm. At one point, they pan to the Duke sideline. Barkate is laughing with some fellow wide receivers because he can't believe how open he was. And he's mimicking how he caught it. And he's like, I'm so open. It's hilarious. It felt like rock bottom at that point. Now Clemson does fight back and had every chance to win the game. But let's just start here on the Clemson side and we will get to Duke. But it does feel like rock bottom from a defensive standpoint, Mac. Clemson in its history was 134-0 when scoring 45 points in a game. Until Saturday against Duke. And of course, Duke has not won at Clemson in 45 years. The defense, what has to happen, Mac?
Yeah. I don't know. Next year, get the 26, get some new guys, get some new people. I don't know.
That's kind of what I mean, though. Not just for this year. What has to happen overall?
Yeah. Moving forward, yeah. Well, I think it was rock bottom. I mean, that's his, and this is there's so many elements. And again, we could do a 2-hour episode about this, to be honest, just this game, about all the different things that happen. And I see my head coach losing his mind and screaming and yelling and cussing. And when he does that, it's bad. There's bad stuff happening. I've heard him say some words single digit times, and I heard it on the game and during that game because it was so quiet, number one. Number two, he's screaming it so loud. I'm just like, man, he's in a tough spot. And that sucks. The human element of that is brutal. And he's the only one that can get him out. He has to do it. Right. You got to find a way. That's why you're the guy. That's why you're the leader and all these different things. And that's tough. But I do think it is infuriating when guys are messing up the way that they are. And it's so, there's so many different elements, and this is not just Clemson, so don't think this is just a Clemson thing I'm saying. This is across the board. There's so many other elements of, it's not just the relationship and the time and the teaching, that goes into coaching and stuff now. There's also big investments. You're giving these guys money. You're awarding them what you think they're worth, what they've earned. And then when that doesn't happen, it's just it's everything's magnified now. Everything is blown up to such a proportion. And And I think that that's really taken a toll, and I think that's unfortunate. And hopefully he can kind of climb out of that and figure that out. But looking at that secondary, I mean, that was it's comical. I'm laughing through the pain. I'm laughing through the tears. The offensive line has their worst day that I've ever seen a week ago, or 2 weeks ago. There was a bye, and then the DBs have the worst game I've ever seen from them ever. Ever. And
Yeah.
Darian Minson's very good. And Duke has some dogs at wide receiver. I get that, but not like it was. Not wide open like it was. And you've got corner cat and you've got a safety that's 4 yards from the line of scrimmage, supposed to be covering the best player on the other opposing receiving core. And you've got like inverted Tampa 2 or just Tampa 2, where you've got a tight end flying down the field. It's just crazy. It's crazy to see that. And then the guy that coach is over there yelling at, like, is rolling his eyes and turn his head. And I just have to, I will never coach y'all.
Mac
Like,
is not okay.
y'all can't pay me enough money to do this, because if I saw some kid do that to me when I'm talking to him, I'd be in jail. I'd snatch him up on TV and just whip him. I'd just be mad. I'd be so frustrated. I can't deal with it. So coaching's not for me. I'll sit on this desk. I'll sit at this screen, talk about it. And I'll be fine. But yeah, it's the defense is just so puzzling. Every aspect of it. And I thought Peter Woods shined at times. That was cool to see. He did some cool things there. But it's just overall, it's just so frustrating to really see, and the lack of passion, the lack of execution, obviously. I don't know. It's not good. It's not good. And then you look on the offensive side, and Cade probably has his best day from
He
a
was great.
yards and whatever standpoint. I'm just going to go high level here, because I don't care to an extent. Gideon Davidson has to play more. Like, that dude's good. This game, maybe a little bit more rushing yards, but how well he can catch the ball, how much he can be used as a receiver. I thought what I saw in the spring game, I thought he would start and be the guy from Jump Street. He can do everything Travis Etienne did. Like, I think our coaches maybe don't realize that. Like, as a receiver, as a weapon, as a pass catcher, and as a running back, I mean, he just needs more. Like, it's hard. It's hard to if there's no rhythm and you don't get to do that time in and time out, you don't just snap your fingers and boom. Like, there's a feel to running back. And obviously offensive line play has such a big piece of that too. But I think he clearly has earned it. Now, Adam Randall played great too. I loved what I saw from him. But that 1-2 punch, 16, 12 carries each, awesome. Love that. Needs to be kind of the recipe there. Thought Clemson ran the ball fairly well. TJ Moore, the fact that he only had 2 catches is crazy. One of those was a 75-yard house call. Antonio Williams looked great, and obviously is a big time, target and favorite, for this guy. But it's code blue. It is ground zero, where Clemson is right now. And this is, kind of a bigger Clemson conversation. I'm sure we'll have this in a couple weeks, because football season's almost over. But there has to be a lot of change. And that's hard. That's hard for anybody. Any head coach. I always, we have such a great relationship with a lot of these people, KG. They come on our show. I go to their place. We sit, we talk. We just, it's just different, what we do than most people, that cover this sport. So we do know them intimately. And I know anytime a coach fires somebody, I just text them. I say, I know that's the worst part of it, and I'm sorry, and I know what you're going through. And Coach Sweeney's going to go through that. If he wants to be great, and if he wants to be able to take this to another level, because it's not what he thought. It's not where it needs to be right now. And again, that is the worst part, because a lot of them are his players and former Tigers, and that's hard and it sucks. But
that's also part of the problem.
Why you're the guy. That's why you're the guy.
Okay, let's talk about the PI. We probably need to hit that. I thought it was pass interference. I think the main critique you could have is the flag was very late. I get that. But the Duke receiver isn't even in the end zone. Like, you have to be aware of time and score here. They have to score. That's all that matters. He's not even in the end zone. You don't need to. What did you think of that?
Yeah, I thought the same thing. That when it happened live and you're like watching it live and you saw how late the flag was, you're like, you've got to be hitting, because you're looking everywhere. You're not just watching that. that particular play or receiver or whatever. And you're just like, there's no way that just happened. And then you're just seeing the replays, which is just the end of it. And you're like, absolutely not. That's the worst call I've ever seen in my entire life. But then you watch the entire play, and the receiver's
Mhm.
getting held
The
for
whole time.
50% of the route. And
Yeah, or
so
50%, yeah.
I'm just like, what? I don't know why you're mad. I mean, it is what it is. And like it should have never came down to that. Like everyone is kind of said. So that is super just frustrating that it comes down to that. And I think your point is fantastic. He's not in the end zone. Like, what are we doing? You have to literally do that to keep
Yeah.
going in this game. So that was really frustrating. I know a lot of fans, in my mentions or whatever, go watch the whole play and get back to me and tell me your thoughts if you still think that. But the biggest quarrel of the flag was blah blah blah. The flag was so late. Yes, I
Sure.
agree. I don't know why it took so long to kind of call
Well,
that.
there was
So
contact both ways, so
yeah,
maybe
right.
you just don't throw a flag.
Probably, probably.
That's maybe the thought.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
look, Duke played well enough to win. Like, they scored 46
Oh
points,
yeah,
and I know I'm always the one who says, "Don't go for 2," but look, Manny Diaz said, "I didn't wanna play overtime in Death Valley. Like, I'm not
yeah.
gonna do that," and I understand, and
Right.
in the end, he looked like a genius, and now Duke, Mac, with their remaining schedule, they have UConn coming up at UConn. UConn is 6-3. They host Virginia, then they go to North Carolina, and they host Wake Forest. Duke has 1 loss in league. Duke, if they can beat Virginia, they can find their way to Charlotte if things go well, which
Who
is
can't?
crazy.
Shorter
Who
list. Who
can't?
can't get to Charlotte at this
Who
point of the
can't?
game?
Also, we did have a Duke fan comment, before the game started that he thought his team was really undisciplined, and that's been their issue all year. Both teams did have 8+ penalties, so both teams showed some lack of discipline, and that is something Duke's gonna have to clean up moving forward. And their defense, hasn't been great all year, which is weird because that's what Manny Diaz is known for. But
Right.
the offense is really good, and so if you can just outscore people, Duke may have a chance to get to Charlotte, like you said, Mac. Everybody does. Well, except for Clemson.
This is how it typically works. If you outscore people, you do win.
Mac, everybody has a chance to get to Charlotte except for the 3 major brands in this league, which is just hilarious.
I love it.
Okay, speaking of that, Florida State. Florida State comes out of
Welcome
nowhere.
back.
They're back, baby, and they beat Wake Forest 42-7. They dominated this game. They just
Oh,
dominated it. They get their first ACC win of the season. I thought Wake, they had that really good first drive, or not first drive, but really good drive in the first quarter, and then they fumble
yeah,
it. And that was kind of Florida State goes and scores. Deuce Robinson was fantastic,
yeah.
and Florida State ran the ball really well. It's so interesting, Mac, with this whole saga of all these coaches getting fired. Florida State now sits at 4-4. Let's say they beat Clemson because Clemson can't beat anybody, even though Clemson is an early 2.5-point favorite. Night game in Death Valley, baby. Um, then they host Virginia Tech. They go to NC State and they go to Florida. If Mike Norvell, here's my question, and I know if you want to say more about the actual game, feel free. If Mike Norvell wins out, is he still the head coach? They finish 8-4?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think
I
that's
think that
fair because you're coming off
yeah,
2-10. We said 7-5 or 8-4 would be a huge improvement for Florida
I
State.
know. I know. I know. I think that there was so much of a roller coaster ride when the
Yes.
Alabama win in the first 2 or 3 games, of the season was happening. Then just the steady
Right. It's
crash into
crazy.
earth, was so bad. I also think that the more people that fire their head coaches, it's better for him
Yeah.
by the day. I mean, there's
Auburn.
a lot. Yeah, that just happened. Auburn just happened today. I saw something about Maryland. I think that's fake, but maybe it's about to happen. I don't know.
Who knows?
I know. It's just every day that goes by, there's every Monday that happens, there's another coach, getting paid millions of dollars to go sit at home. So I don't know. Again, financially, where Florida State is doesn't make sense. And again, who do you get? Who do you go
Right?
get? Really? Because I've seen on my page 50-50. Like Jimbo, hate Jimbo. And then who else? You going to get Lane Kiffin too? Great. Awesome. Lane Kiffin's going to
Good
coach
luck.
from a
James
office
Franklin?
room. Yeah. No, he's going to, anyway.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see. Overall game though, I mean, frustrating for Wake, obviously a team that looked so great recently, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And then just, nothing. can't run the ball, give up a bunch of sacks, get absolutely housed, by a team that hadn't won an ACC game in literally a year and a half. And so it's shocking to see. As I said, as soon as you think you know something, you don't. But good for the Noles. Good to get back in the win column and to feel good. And let's see what you can do the rest of the season.
Mac, I am not going to talk about BC, Notre Dame, or UNC Syracuse. If you have a thought there, let me know. But we do want to
shout out to UNC. First
they won.
Belichick conference win. That's
they
cool.
won. I do want to give Pitt, before we get out of here, because we've gone long. Pitt beat Stanford 35-20. It should have been way worse. I mean, Pitt looked really good, did it without Des Reed. Turner ran for 127. Kenny Johnson, Raphael Williams, Jake Overman all caught touchdown passes. Like, it was, Heinschel was wheeling and dealing. He had two really bad and sus picks at the end of the game, where this game should have been probably 49-13 or something. Yeah. But in the end, what more can you ask for from Mason Heinschel? He's just been incredible. And Pitt now finally getting some respect, receiving votes, might be ranked in the playoff poll, should be, I think.
Right.
And we'll see what you can do, Pitt. We're watching.
Yeah, we are. Can't wait to see it. They have a bye this week, and then welcome Notre Dame to the house.
Come on.
I can't wait to see that. We might go up there. Who knows? The slate is interesting that weekend.
Yeah,
I'd love to go to Steel City and see those guys play the Golden Domers. But you're right. They're a totally different team with Heinschel and the things that they're able to do there. Hopefully we see Desmond Reed get healthy too. Hopefully he can, take last week, this week, and heal up. We'll see. Fascinating week, guys, as it always is in the ACC. Sorry I was super emotional. Might be more emotional. Who knows? Next weekend.
No, that's what we need, Mac.
It's a roller coaster. It's really fun. It keeps me young or makes me lose my hair. Don't know. One of the two. Appreciate you guys always. Cannot wait to be in Virginia. As I stated, might have a big Virginia guest. I think that's going to be the vibes that we try to go with on Wednesday. And then we'll come back Friday, break down the entire weekend. Another opportunity for madness, KG. We'll see. Appreciate you guys. Go subscribe. Jump in the comments. Tell me if you're with me on my emotional roller coaster right now. And if you're not, tell me why I'm wrong. I'd love to hear that too. Also, appreciate you guys.
Tell me what you're making in the crock pot, because I need more. I need more recipes. I need that comfort food.
Drop the recipes. Send them to us. Jump in the comments. Whatever it takes. Appreciate you guys always. Until next time, we'll see y'all.
Rollback just dropped their licensed game day collection. Polos, hoodies, Q-zips. Custom designed for your school. On game days, we wear Rollback, period.